Hi, I'm Jaimie Cloud, and I run the Cloud Institute for Sustainability Education. We're here in New York City. I'm going to address 3 questions as quickly as I can. 1, why I became interested in education for sustainability. 2, who influenced me, and it's a pretty long list, so I'll try to keep it short. And 3, how the Education for Sustainability framework and the Cloud Institute standards and performance indicators came to be. So I begin my story in the 6th grade. I was globally educated in one of the first experiments in global education in 1968. All of our teachers were influenced by the work of Buckminster Fuller and other luminaries of the time. And by high school I had read Critical Path. So that's where it began for me. We were already studying change and interdependence and inventing the future, cross-cultural communication and appreciation for diversity, awareness of human choices, global issues. We started early. So I grew up to become a global educator because that's what I knew, and I thought that was the best idea I'd heard. And then in 1987, the word sustainability arrived on the radar in a UN report entitled Our Common Future, often known as the Brundtland Report. And I read that report and thought, I think I've been tracking on sustainability my whole life, because since the 6th grade, we'd been tracking the state of the planet data, and I never had a word to describe what I was seeing until 87, and the word sustainability arrived. And then I understood what unsustainability was. And so I thought, well, what is sustainability? It seems like a better idea, something worth educating for. And am I already doing it as an educator for sustainability, as a global educator, or would I need to do something else? So I studied everything I could get my hands on, all the early authors that were already talking. Maybe they didn't use the language of sustainability, but they were already talking about the kind of future we wanted and what we would need to know and be able to do in order to pull it off. So I started studying Gregory Bateson and Paul Hawkins' work, and Matis Walkernagel had started his work on the ecological footprint shortly thereafter. The UN summit that took place in Rio de Janeiro happened in 1992. And Agenda 21, which is the voluntary agreement that 174 countries signed at that time, included Chapter 36, which was the education chapter. It was the first formal articulation of the core competencies of education for sustainability. So that was a good start for me. And we founded the center in 1995. We used to be called the Sustainability Education Center, and then we were rebranded the Cloud Institute in 2002. So all of the authors, that's what got me started in the field. I thought education, I always knew that education was key to a society's well-being and to inventing the future we want. And so I started studying Paul Ryan's work and Charles Peirce and Herman Daly and Bob Costanza, and I made a little list here just to remind me of everybody that I was studying: Hazel Henderson and Donella Meadows and Dennis Meadows, Peter Senge, Meg Wheatley, Jonathan Rowe, Wendell Berry. All of those folks were influencing me, as well as the participants in the programs that I began to run. We created learning communities in the early days because we were all trying to figure out what sustainability and education for sustainability was and could be. David Orr, of course, Jean Perrat, Stephen Sterling, Daniela Tilbury, Keith Wheeler, Jack Byrne, all these folks were talking about various aspects of the work, and I was collecting everything. How I put the framework together and the folks that helped me to put the standards and indicators together really it all came out of, I took the role of curator. Everybody was talking about something that was going to be useful to us, and I just started collecting everyone's list. Everyone who thought that they'd had an idea about the core content, skills, attitudes, dispositions, habits of mind, anything I could get my hands on that I thought would be useful. And so while on the one hand I was working with the content folks, on the other hand I was also working with the leaders in teaching and learning and educational practices. Heidi Hayes Jacobs and Giselle Martin Kniep and Michael Fullen, Carol Dweck, let me see, I don't want to forget anybody, Dan Siegel, Angela Duckworth, all these folks that have made huge contributions to us in our thinking about teaching and learning. And then we have been combining the content knowledge and the skills with the pedagogical practices that we've been able to derive from all the best thinkers in the world, and most recently influenced by David Rock's work and all the brain scientists he works with at the Neuro Leadership Institute on the brain science of creativity and moral decision making and paradigm shifting and insight. And so we've curated, boiled the lists down. And when I was working with districts and people were really ready to, nobody asked me for any of this work for the first 15 years. But finally, when people were ready, I thought, they're going to be ready one day, and when they are, I'll be ready for them. And so when districts started asking me, well, what is core, and how can you describe what you want us to do? I worked with many colleagues to pull together everything I'd been collecting over the years, and we continue to collect. And we turned it into the framework, the Cloud Institute Framework for Education for Sustainability, and the Standards and Performance Indicators. And those are continually improved, continually innovated to include the best thinking that we've been able to collect, and will continue to do so. And so I'm so excited about the journal, because now I can put my work together with all the other authors that have contributed to the series, so that we can do a meta-analysis of everyone's work, and so we can create benchmarks and really be able to say, this is the state of the field. If you want to educate for sustainability, this is what it looks like. So I hope you enjoy the series, and I hope you enjoy our work. Thanks so much.